Welcome to the High-Tech Investments News Report for Week 24. The news report covers some of the many investments projects High-Tech Investments is currently involved in so you can follow our progress. We hope you will enjoy this news feed and look forward to your comments and remarks.
Hi, Bo here, and welcome back to this week's news report, where it's time again to have not only a look for the past week, but the past 2 weeks. We have been away, we have been traveling, now we are back. We can see there's plenty of things happening, both on some of our platforms, but also on the multiple parts of our EAs. We have more than 100, and some of the things we're going to have a look at today is one particular incredible EA in here that seems to be cashing in very, very nicely. There's a couple of versions of this particular EA. We've been testing this now for weeks, months, depending on what kind of version we are talking about in here. I'm going to show you a bit more about it and what I think is so great. So please watch the video all the way to the end. We also have a new video release that has been released now about a week ago. And there's definitely also some hype regarding this particular one, because this cashes in no matter if the price goes up and down. Which particular EA it is, well, I'm going to tell you a bit more about it, and also some of the video series within here that we have been releasing over the past couple of months regarding grid trading, trying to make you a better trader, or at least understand what is actually happening on the copy link service in here. When we talk about copy link service, we also have to talk about Alex, an expert Forex. He is currently on his European tour for about 3 months or so. So there's not too many videos coming out at the moment, but we're going to have a look at what he has and show you exactly what it's all about. And not at least in here, we also have the copy link service. As I mentioned before, there's still plenty of signals that you can link up to. And some of the results for the past 8 weeks is quite stunning. And as usual, we have plenty of the ones that are all in top. Let's get into it here now. Let's see how the last week or two has actually panned out. So I'm sorry to say that we haven't really gotten any updates, information, and details from Woods or Steve here regarding Yieldnodes. And again, this has been ongoing for a very long time. All we can do here is go to the audit coin reserve and then see if there's any new masternodes running. And this is what we normally do every week. We can see that in week 22, we had 289 masternodes, P and Y. We now have one more only in the past 2 weeks. The other one is the SAP coin, where we had 3976. We have 3 in here as additional ones. So it looks like some of them are still moving, but it's very, very slow. Even 777 normally adding a lot. Here we have about 7 in the past couple of weeks, and AZR, same thing, just have 1 in here. So obviously even beer only has 1. So very, very slow moving at the moment for the masternodes and the setups in here. So let's go and have a closer look at the development of SAP. Now SAP, I've gone all the way back to the 2nd of June. So that's where the red circle is here. We can then see the movements over the past 2 weeks. Looks like there were some slight movements. And again, I have to emphasize slight movements. There is some buying in here, so actually pushing up the price towards the absolutely rock bottom. Later on actually went back, and as we speak here, it's at the exact same level as we had about 2 weeks ago, so no real development in here. However, in the last news report, I showed a massive change regarding the SAP staking in here, and you can just see what has happened in June. So last time when we had the news report, that was in the beginning of June, we saw quite a few of the staking taking place, and this was pretty much almost minute by minute. That's why we have actually made 290,147 SAP. You can now see that last time when we looked at it, it was around 132,000, I believe, in that range. Now we have 422,634 SAPs and keeps counting. It's gone absolutely crazy in here. Obviously, it'd be very nice if it would be close to the all-time high, which was almost 1-to-1 on the US dollar. But right now, it is still pretty much worthless so far. But you never know. PNY also doing extremely well. We did about 12,103 PNY. And then we have about 9.5%. And that has also taken our total up to 139,349 PNY. So development is obviously good, but we still need some kind of value behind it. And this is where Bitcoin comes in. Obviously, Bitcoin is a good trendsetter for anything else in the crypto world. Last time in here, we left it around 105,000. Since then, it actually dipped all the way down to 100,000 and then back up again here to 110, dropped once more down to 103, and currently it's now trading at 106,762 as we're shooting this particular video in here. So it looks that that's the new range, around $10,000 range in here. And it will be exciting to see if we're actually going to break through now also the ceiling of the 110,000. We've been there once before, and this time around, obviously, we didn't crack the glass ceiling for this particular one. In the meantime, let's go and have a look at the Wave Liberator for week 24. This particular week has gone quite well for all the EAs, but this one has an additional part regarding the Japanese yen. So Aussie Japanese yen is actually on top here with $40 and 4%. Another one for Great British Pounds Japanese at $37, 3.7%, and then New Zealand Japanese, $29, 2.9%. So again, the people saying they cannot trade the Japanese yen, well, you need to have a closer look at our new grid trading setup in here, because it seems to work quite well to me. Drawdown is also low. Great British Pounds USD came in at $27, 2.7%, and then the US USD, $24, 2.4%, and overall the top 5 in this particular portfolio in here did $156, 3.1%. And if you take that to a monthly one, well, we end up around 12% if it continues in the same manner. Now look at the nice slope that we have in here. It just shows again how actually consistent this particular EA has been. And balances keep going up. We started off back then with 22 EAs. Now it's at 264,000. Floating profit and loss, nice and low, 8,327. Total returns is about 23%, but don't forget, again in here, all these EAs is set up on $10,000 accounts. What we should actually get is around 11% on $1,000 accounts, which is what we actually do. Weekly returns is around 3%. Trade wins continues to be nice and high with almost 68%. And then we have trades per day is around 13 with a lot of history of 664 days. That is where you can find all the details on the website. A lot of these are on the coupling service. We did have to remove 1 or 2 in here because of the IG accounts actually spiking out on the demo ones. We have replaced them with new ones, but overall we're going to change everything over to $1,000 accounts, most probably during the summer part when we have time and can put a bit of effort into this. If we have a look at the numbers, last week we actually did 382, so you didn't get that particular number. Now we're up to 423, and you can see if we go all the way back, we have to go back to around mid-April to find some bigger numbers in here. So it's nice to see that basically profit is catching up. Same thing for the RSI Liberator also for week 24. In this particular case in here, we have quite a few euros that are standing out, but it's Great British Pounds CAD with $35 or 3.5%. Have a look and see how linear all this is. Almost same profits. Also here, Euro Great British Pounds, $35, 3.5%, with Euro CAD at $34, 3.4%, and then Euro Swiss francs, $31, 3.1%, with Aussie Swiss francs, $28, 2.8%, and overall this particular portfolio in here. So again, with a massive European overweight, $163, 3.3%. So also this one here ends up on a monthly estimate of about 12%. So it's looking good right now. And also, so does the graph in here. Did extremely well. We have floating profit and loss. That one is pretty much stable. So almost the same numbers as we have seen in prior weeks. So no major change. And also in here, that monthly returns is around 9% on $1,000 accounts or 2 on a weekly. Trade wins 66. So it's still doing quite well, and trades per day around 15.5. We now have 433 days of history. And that also means that a lot of them are still on the coupling service. And all of them, as I mentioned, they will be transferred into new accounts. But this obviously takes time. It has taken time and effort to actually put everything together over the past couple of years. In the meantime, let's go and have a look at the weekly results. 321 is what we got this week. Last week it was down by 227. And again, if we have to look, we have to go back to middle of May, 420, to find a better results. So that means profits are coming back up again. However, it is getting into the summer months, and we've seen before that property actually dips. There's not the same volatility in here as in other parts of the year. Hedged EA is also doing quite well. So we have the Euro USD at $51, or 5.1%. So that is the top range in this particular portfolio this week. The Euro CAD, $43, 4.3%. And then the USD Swiss francs at $41, 4.1%. With the Euro Swiss francs, $35, 3.5%. And then Great British Pound, Swiss francs. You have noticed the trend here. Again, we have different currency pairs. Swiss francs in this particular case for the Hedged EA, and the Great British Pounds does $27, 2.7%, with an overall portfolio here of $197 or 3.9%. So the Hedged EA has been doing extremely well in this particular week again, and we can see the entire portfolio we saw here when we had a bit of the trade wars, so it cashing in so massively, so that was quite well, and then it actually started its journey again, similar to what we had before. It has taken in slightly less profits, and I explained that in prior videos. Floating profit and loss, still too high for our liking on a couple of the ones, but it's only very few accounts because the accounts have gone further than ever before. Trade wins are at 70%. Trades per day is around 17, and now the history of 147 days, still cashing in quite nicely. And we do have a couple of the one on the copy link service. The rest you can actually find on our website as usual. Now, this week we did 256 overall for the portfolio. You can see again the lines is a bit more clear. This looks like it's going up, and you can also see we have to go back to the middle of May to find some similar results, 257. And after the big announcements back here in March, April, it actually flew into a couple of thousand. And then after that, slowed down a bit. Hopefully this will now start to cash in a bit more. The Simple Grid Trader for week 24. Well, we really love this particular EA, and this is also the one I wanted to discuss with you a bit more on this particular case, because not only, as you can see, do they have some very, very high returns, but they're actually also having an extremely low drawdown. There is still a mix of generation 3 and generation 4 in here, but we have moved most of them, also including this particular weekend here, now to generation 4, because there is a slightly different way of setting these two up in order to get the good results. Once you do that, the generation 4 actually outperforms so very well the generation 3, and in a safe and secure manner, and I'll do a video on that in the future. So the Great British Pounds, New Zealand, $136, 13.6%, and no, this is not for a month, this is just for the week. Did extremely well. Swiss francs Japanese, $108, 10.8%. Aussie Swiss francs, $84, 8.4%. And New Zealand CAD at $62, 6.2%. And then Euro New Zealand, $61, 6.1%. This is all calculated on $1,000 accounts. So you can see the massive gains in here of $451 on 9%. For those top 5 in here, for a nice little portfolio you can put together. So, and then just 9% for 1 week is simply astonishing. Now, none of them are on the copy link service yet. We have actually put them forward already to Alex. So we are waiting back to hear which ones he wants to add in here, so we can start doing this. But in the meantime, you can actually go on our website and find more details and information. You simply have to click on one of these ones here, and it will take you to the FX Blue link. This is the entire portfolio, and you can also find that on our website. We started off again here with 20 EAs. So started off with 20,000. You'll now see that the close profit is up to 3,949. We have a floating profit of loss, which is normal for the grid trading systems in here. but even the equity is up by 21,459. Total return so far is 9.3%, and monthly returns is expected at 10.1. Weekly returns 2.3. Trade wins 78%, and then with a history of now about 2 months. Some of them are mostly generation 3 in here, other ones are now generation 4. We have been playing around with the generation 4. We have figured out a way of how actually to increase the profits in here, and that's what's so great about this particular EA. So it's very, very simple. It's very quick also to test over the weekends, and these are the results. We haven't even shined through yet because there's some of the ones that we have now added onto the generation 4 in here that is really, really cashing in. And you can actually see that also in some of the numbers we have for this particular week, 596. So this is a very good week. We had better weeks here also, and this was back in the middle of May with 754. But I am pretty sure we're going to outperform that. Maybe not in the next couple of weeks because summer months, as I said, the trading might be a bit lower. But when we get past the summer, then for sure it will start cashing in as volatility actually increases. So in between that we are waiting for everything to happen again, I suggest that you have a closer look at some of the videos that I have made over the past couple of months. The first one was actually the Forex grid trading explained. The second was the gap and lot size hack. So these are the basic settings that you need. So you also understand you don't have to backtest a lot of this. You can simply go to the entry levels and to the exit levels. Everything else is pretty much set up for you already. And then we take on the part was the ring the Forex bell for big wins in here. This is also a very good graphical indication of what it is that we are doing with all our EAs. And the other one that was very, very popular, know when to sell and buy. So this is for the RSI Liberator in here, how that has been set up. Everything is pretty much straightforward once you have seen the 2 basic videos. And the last one, as I mentioned, this was this particular one where you profit both ways. This is the Hedged EA. And again, a lot of the settings on the Hedged EA, you can simply wipe away in here and simply just look at when the EA is going to basically start trading and when it's actually going to get out of the trading. So it makes it also very simple for this particular one here to very, very quickly move on, do the testing, and that's it. Lucky Trader, same thing. We have also made a video on that one, and you can see the numbers are really good. Euro USD, $62 or 6.2%, with the Euro Swiss francs at $49, 4.9%, and then the US Swiss francs, $40, 4%, Euro Great British Pounds, $40, 4%, and then Euro CAT, $30, 3%, with a total for this particular portfolio this week at $221, 4.4%. Very, very good, very stable. And if you look apart from this little peak in here, which is again IG account issues, it had a bit of a buy and then a sell. Luckily, nothing happened on the coupling service itself. Everything was good. Floating profit and loss on this particular one in here, also still a bit too high. Again, just a few accounts have this particular issue here. And this still goes all the way back to the start of the trade war. Monthly returns is still good at 1.2%, with a return of 3 on a $1,000 account. Trade wins also very high. As you can see, all of them are pretty much around the 70% mark. Trades per day is 16 and a history of 225 days. Makes this a very good EA, simply cashing in. And that's also why you'll find a lot of these on the coupling service for our website. Now, the last week we had 326 for the entire portfolio, and we have to go all the way back here also to April to find something similar, because we cashed in similar like the Hedged EA very, very quickly with the Lucky Trader, and then the profits actually dropped. You can see it was down to 81, so very disappointing here at the end of April. Since then it has been cashing in, also raising the stakes again this particular week, and this same here will also be for the Bell Trader. That one is still very much struggling for the setup it has itself. The Euro Swiss francs came in at $29, 2.9%. and then followed closely after with the Great British Pounds CAD, $28, 2.8%. But all of these are obviously still in the 10% mark. So it is definitely not disappointing. So we are just used to very high numbers. The Aussie CAD came in at $17, 1.7%, with New Zealand CAD $13, 1.3%, and then New Zealand Swiss francs only made $8 or 0.8%. So again, disappointing. But overall, $95, 2.4%. If you have this particular portfolio lined up, a lot of the same ones are on the top 5 for the Bell Trader. So you can still cash in somewhere around 9-10% on a monthly basis on some of them in here. You'll notice also the graph again. So that one has smoothed out. We've made some changes during this particular period. We have a total history of 196 days. So we have been playing around with this one. The floating profit of loss that rose a lot in the past couple of weeks from 12,000 to 16. So again, we are not getting the settings right. We might want to basically terminate all of these and set them up on new $1,000 accounts with the new settings instead. We are still contemplating how to do this the best. Monthly returns is still the lowest one of the EA, and that is the way the EA is actually shaped. So 7% on the monthly, 2% on a weekly. Trade wins are still okay, 70% like the rest of them, but trades per day is obviously low, as you can see, with 6.5. And that's the reason why also we only have a very few on the coupling service. It seems to be just a few that are making the cash in here. So we are trying to basically do a bit better with this particular one in here. We have made some adjustments, but still not the biggest profit. As you'll see here, 94 is actually what we got. So only top 5 here cashed in. Last week it was even worse. And if you notice, prior in here, they were doing quite well up until the trade war. Then everything went sideways. So we cashed in quite nicely here with 500 end of March and 700. And then after that, it actually dropped, came back a bit again in May. But since then, it hasn't really been performing too well so far. I also wanted to show you the Simple RSI Trader that we have started to run with. Now this is completely different because this is set up on $300 accounts. Sorry, we have 20 of them, and this particular one we only have one trade at a time. You never have anything else open until it closes. It won't enter again. This is not grid or martingale strategy, whatever you want to call it in here. So this is one trade at a time. That's also why you see the monthly return is a bit lower with 5%. The weekly returns at 1.2 at the moment. Trade wins is not in the 70% at the moment, is around 62. We have trades per day, 8.5, and the history is very young, 21 days. A lot of different currency pairs, as we mentioned, so 20 of them. And we could see it did quite well in the beginning. Then we had a slight drop, and now it's cashing in again. We did some efforts over the weekend again to make some further adjustments to the ones that are bottoming out. And overall, we can still see on the weekly returns, we are cashing in. So we'll just have to wait and see how that's going to go in the next couple of weeks and months. Obviously, you can follow it here. We still don't have that on the website. We will add it a bit later on when we see exactly some of the numbers in the future. Now, I mentioned that Alex hasn't made many videos, but he did do this particular one in here. And what I just showed you was the Simple RSI Trader. He has also set up a range of accounts in here. And again, there is two ways of setting these particular accounts up. There's one where you're using the same lot size all the time. And then there's one where you use a percentage of the equity or on the balance in here. And obviously they have two different results. What we are trying to do here right now is simply just figure out which ones are the best before we move on to the next step. But the video is all about trying to get this particular one in here because this is US compatible. So if you are a US trader, you're looking for an EA, then definitely this is the one. I'll make sure also that the link to the video is in the description below. In the meantime, let's go and have a look at the Expert Forex, and we go in there to download the account risk analysis information from the website. The Excel we then sort out here for the floating profit and loss. We don't want to see any more than 300, so you can see we actually keep very nicely within it. Then the return on total drawdown, don't want to have less than 200, and again everything here is quite nice and high. There's a couple of thousand even. And then total negative weeks in the last 8 weeks, we don't want to have anything that goes beyond 300, and we're not even close in here. There's a couple of red ones, but again, this is actually only 158, 154. So very, very safe and stable on $1,000 accounts as we're searching on here. Then gains in the last 8 weeks, we are sorting that out, high to low. Starting off with link 179C down here, and that is 10% in the last 8 weeks, so 5 obviously. Then very quickly goes up to 18, 19, 20, 23, 25, 27. So we are already here at an average of 10. And the top ones in here are well above that. Again, this is equity curves that we are taking into place. 187C, very nice, 37%. And look at 181, 103, and then massive gains. So in the last 8 weeks, this has pretty much doubled with 1,031 on the equity side. So extremely good links that we have in here. We're very, very happy with the stability of all of them. And as usual, you can go directly on the website to see more. So despite us being away for a week or two in here, you can see it is still cashing in very, very nicely. Platforms are running, EAs are running, and that is what it's all about. It is basically making money while you're asleep, as long as you can do it safely. We really like the systems that we have in place here now. You can see the profits is coming in. And if you want to see more, you can always jump on our website in here, where everything is for free, everything out in the open. You simply click the FX Blue links in here, and you'll get exactly what you're searching for regarding profits, regarding drawdowns, regarding long-term actually sustainability in here. That's what we are all about. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give us a thumbs up and a like, and I hope to see you on one of my other videos. Until then, bye-bye.
I hope you enjoyed our news report. So please don't forget to like and add your comment below, as we would love to get your feedback. But before you go, make sure you subscribe to the channel and don't forget to keep the notification bell turned on. That way you will never miss any of our future videos. We hope to see you back on this channel very soon.